796-5555, Jacksonville. Now, get ready to spend the next 2 hours with our three sports-loving ladies. Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dahl.
Hey, hey.
This is Helmets and Heels
On 1010XL, switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
I don't know where to begin, Taylor Dahl. I don't know where to begin.
Welcome back, by the way.
Welcome back. Thank you. I am back from vacation. Lauren Brooks is on vacation. A lot of moving parts here at the Superstation on this fine Big Chief Tire Monday right here on Helmets and Heels. Mia O'Brien, Taylor Dahl, Dylan Denmark, Pockets.
Yo.
Sitting in for RJ Saunders, who is also on a well-deserved vacation.
It's vacation season.
It is vacation season. It is talking season. It is Texas and Oklahoma officially members of the SEC season. We're going to get to all of that and more, not to mention NBA free agency. Paul George is headed to Philadelphia. So many things to get to on this fine Big Chief Tire Monday. But I've got some bones to pick before we get any further, Taylor. You alluded to it. I was up in the Northeast, beginning in the great state of New Jersey most of last week. I know. So many of you missed my sonorous voice right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM last week. And then made my way to Rhode Island for my sister's bachelorette party. Bachelorette parties are a lot different when you're planning for your siblings, by the way. Still a great time, but was a little bit, different than when you're with all your friends. But had to be a little bit more responsible. Let's put it that way. And speaking of responsibility, I don't like to put people on blast, Taylor, and I don't know these individuals' names, but I got a bone to pick with some of the patrons at the Logan International Airport in Boston as I made my way back from Boston to Jacksonville yesterday, a trip which took 16 hours. We won't get into the details of that. Thank you to the great crew that was aboard my plane, the vessel. They did a great job of calming everyone down when there was a weather delay, and then there was it may be sunny in Boston, but unfortunately we don't have the flight path because of the rain in New York, the rain elsewhere.
So were you on, they had to turn back?
No. So we made our way out to the runway.
And then you had to turn.
And it was hilarious. It was all of the planes headed to Florida, headed to the south. There was 6 of us lined up in a line as if it was a parking lot, waiting to go, sat there for 2 hours, went back to the gate.
Oh, my gosh.
Sat in the gate for 45 minutes. I had also gotten to the airport 5 hours early, but that was just kind of the planning purpose. Again, I'm not going to call people out. But Taylor, last night was the first time in my life that I've sat on a plane and had someone's feet in my face.
Ew. That sounds disgusting.
Now,
What? You gotta explain that. Time out.
It was a child. So, children, listen, I get it. For those of you who have kids, God bless you. As John O'Leary comes into the studio and knows this all too well because he does have a toddler, and this individual was around John's son's age. And I appreciate the parents saying, "Oh, I'm sorry." What I didn't appreciate was that after the first apology, and it kept happening, the parents then went to sleep.
Oh, no.
And also, I may or may not have had to entertain said child because as her father was worried that she was spiraling and didn't know what to do, I just grabbed my iPad and I pulled out a game and I said, "Hey, do you want to play with my iPad?" And she looked at me like, "Who is this strange woman? Why is she trying to converse with me?" "I don't know. Your feet have been in my face for the last hour, honey. I'm going to try to help you out here."
Mia's like, "Have you heard of Trevor Lawrence? Here's some highlights."
Oh, you have a story about that too, but that was not on the plane. But yeah, so listen, let's kick off this Big Chief Tire Monday with that. As I see the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures, so many of you have questions about Boston, about being in the quote-unquote city of champions, just weeks after the Boston Celtics won their 18th title. We can get into that, but I am curious. What is your craziest airport story, folks? Because that one is up there for me.
Yeah.
Especially because it was a 4-hour flight because they had to detour us all the way to the great state of New York. I literally flew over Ithaca College last night, coming back from Boston to Jacksonville, Florida.
I feel like that's fitting.
I don't know how that makes any sense at all. But again,
So let me ask you, was this girl in your row, the little girl in your row? Okay.
Yes.
So she was just kind of laying down, feet in the air.
Lounging, sleeping on her mom, and I guess she felt comfortable enough after I gave her my iPad that, she She was letting it hang, letting it air out. So I would love to hear your craziest airport story. Taylor and I would love to hear your craziest airport story. Pockets as well. 641-1010 is the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. And, of course, the YouTube chat line, you know it's always popping on Helmets and Heels. So make sure you find 1010XL on YouTube and you comment there as well. Close second, though. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to sound morbid, but this was one of just, again, to those concerned about the mass holes, this was that moment where I texted my mother and I said, I could never move to that city. So they let us go back to the gate. Everybody ran inside, grabbed food, came back on the plane. They got us off. It was good to go. They had grounded all international flights. And I'm in line waiting to get food, and I hear this middle-aged woman, and she's screaming at one of the Logan International Airport workers, not a Delta United representative. It was someone who actually runs maintenance, runs logistics at the airport. And she screams at the guy and says, "My father's dying. Do you know what that feels like? I'm trying to get to him." And credit to this young man because he replied, "Ma'am, my father is dead."
My goodness.
So that was number 2. So I have a Mount Rushmore just from the 16 hours I spent yesterday in the airport in terms of craziest airport stories. And so, yes, I figured, you know what? Let's air it out. Let's air it out, whether it's your feet or whether it's your grievances. It's Bobby Bonilla Day, and it's Helmets and Heels. So, Taylor, you tell me your craziest airport story.
Yeah, I feel like airports are just a different world in general, and it's like the place where you drink at 8 a.m. before you get on a flight, and it's normal. Everyone's cheersing. I've had some very interesting airport stories. I will say that probably my craziest had to do with myself, but this is back when the Jags went to the AFC Championship game, and we went up for the game. So went a little too hard that day. I'll just say that. And so we have to. We're also flying into Rhode Island.
So you flew into Providence. Okay,
yeah.
I did the opposite yesterday.
So we flew into Providence, and so it's a little not crazy, 45 minutes or something like that. But traffic was insane getting to the airport. We're all a little bit hungover, trying to rush. We get to the airport. Have to sprint to the plane. By this time, we get to the gate. There is a group of people also traveling for the game too. I'm guessing from Jacksonville. Everyone's hurting at this point. We can all say, number one, because the game ended the way the game ended, but also, like I said, everyone went a little too crazy. This guy all of a sudden starts freaking out, screaming, yelling. No one really knows what's happening at this point. We're all just kind of like, is he okay? Did someone make him mad? He's yelling at they have the lady that kind of announces right outside the gates, okay,
the gate attendant.
Okay, section B, start loading up. He's freaking out and she's screaming at this lady. And so the lady's kind of just sitting there trying to calm him down. She's like, "Sir, just give me a second. If you talk to me, we can figure this out, We don't know what's happening. We just hear him yelling. And so this goes on for probably about, a good 10 minutes.
And what's he yelling at her about?
Nobody knows. We're all just trying to figure it out. And so we think that something happened with his flight, or he was supposed to get on this flight and couldn't, something. Next thing you know, she, in the microphone, over the speaker, starts screaming at this man over the microphone. And at this point, we figure out what's going on. He was trying to board early because he was like, I have my knees messed up and I need to get on this plane first before everybody starts getting on and But it escalated so quickly that by this point she's trying to she's like, "You're not getting on this flight. You're not boarding on this flight. I don't know if you're drunk." And she's screaming in the microphone at this point. And we're all just trying to we're just trying to go home at this point. And we ended up probably taking off an hour and a half late just because this man
was berating the gate attendant.
Over his knee that hurt.
Security, where you at?
It was honestly insane. And we're like I said, kind of dying. We're just we're trying to get home. I've never seen somebody full on screaming in somebody's face the way that I'm surprised security honestly didn't come and take him away the way that he was acting. But that's definitely one. There's been a few other moments of just weird things you see. People watching in the airport's fantastic. So
I did a lot of that yesterday.
Yeah.
I got there around 11 a.m. I didn't leave Boston until 8:30 p.m.
Yeah,
so,
I'm sure you saw a lot then.
Yeah, a lot of people watching. Dylan Denmark, you were recently up in the Northeast. You had to go through a couple airports. Do tell. did you come back with a Mount Rushmore airport drama story?
No, the only thing I had was I had a 5 a.m. flight, so I knew I had to get there early.
Yep.
And my stupidity, I didn't know that TSA closes. I thought it was always open. So TSA didn't open until about 3:45. I got there like 2 o'clock because I ordered an Uber because the Uber said to get here in 30 minutes. I'm like, all right, I got some time. I can, hang out a little bit. I'm going to get there early. Uber got there in 5 minutes, so I was just stranded. And yeah.
I was just stranded.
So what did you do?
I just read a book and watched YouTube and entertained myself for
On
about
the
an hour
rocking
and a half.
chairs?
Yeah, did something.
Yeah, shout out to the Jacksonville International Airport. We do have rocking chairs.
We do.
I discovered last night, Dylan, that TSA does close because if you can believe it, I landed at 11:40 and there were still multiple planes set to take off. And as I was coming out of the airport, there was an announcement that, hey, if you need to board your flight after midnight, we do close the TSA security gate at midnight. So that one I was not expecting. I didn't think that they ever really closed, but it would make sense.
Did you get I saw your picture. What do you call it? The Taylor ham. What do you
Pork
call?
roll.
Pork roll. Yes, I saw your picture. It looked delicious.
Round of applause, Denmark, for the good folks at Terrace Bagels Cafe, an institution in Freehold, New Jersey. Yes, I did get my
Looked great.
My pork roll, egg and cheese. It is pork roll, not Taylor ham, contrary to my parents from North Jersey who raised me to say otherwise. I am from Central Jersey. It exists, and yes, it was pork roll. So it was a delightful trip home. Started again in New Jersey, and then we made our way to the New England area, and that is where we are getting the conversation popping on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. And my goodness, y'all are coming through.
Everyone has airport stories.
Everyone has airport stories. We appreciate them at 641-1010. We are going to get to the big news in college football here momentarily, but I'd be remiss if I didn't read 233. A 300-pound man was cutting his toenails next to me on the plane.
Ew.
Well, there's a lot of feet on this show, and let's just say the show has some legs, so let's continue that conversation and head on over to the SEC where, hey, listen, let us welcome my Southern brothers and sisters, you transplants out there, you alumni of the University of Florida, the University of Georgia. Dylan, Denmark, you are one of them. We are welcoming Texas and Oklahoma, officially members of the Southeastern Conference as of 12:01 this morning. Or are we? I got to tell you, it's been fascinating scrolling through social media over the last few hours. Shout out to TCU Athletics, by the way. Easily the best video of the announcement. Mm-hmm. They went ahead and took the Toy Story 3 So Long partner, and they put all the Big 12 mascots saying goodbye to Texas and Oklahoma. And then Woody looks off into the distance, and he promptly reflects upon all of the times that TCU beat down on Texas and lots of horns down. It's interesting, though, Taylor, because when this news came to light, it feels like it was 1,000 years ago. It also feels like it was just 2 years ago, which is what it was. Yeah. When Texas and Oklahoma announced they would be departing the Big 12 to head to the SEC, and a domino effect followed from there, in which USC and UCLA made their news that they would then eventually be moving to the Big 10. The subsequent dominoes when it came to Washington and Oregon also heading to the Big 10. The four corner schools heading to the Big 12. Mm-hmm. It's insane to think it's only been 2-3 years, but today truly is a landmark day because now we will see many of those institutions finally become members of those conferences.
Yeah, I think it's exciting. And we talked to Barnhart last week about the college football in general, but we talked obviously a lot about the realignment. And one of the questions I asked him is which additions, the ones to the SEC or the ones to the Big 10, does he think is going to make the biggest impact and make the biggest difference within those conferences? And he said it's hard not to say SEC, but when you look at the Big 10, I mean, you go through those teams, and it's going to be a very interesting conference to watch. And obviously, we saw the offseason that Ohio State had with the portal, and I mean, some high expectations there. We're talking about a coach getting fired, even though he literally has like an insane record when it comes to winning.
But he hasn't
because he
beaten
can't beat Michigan. Yeah. And so I think the SEC, it's going to be so much fun. I'm so excited for this college football season. And obviously, when you add the whole playoff expansion too, that adds a whole other element to this.
So Taylor, when we first were looking at each other, kind of going through, reacting to all the various videos and montages, announcing, of course, that officially Texas and Oklahoma members of the SEC as of today. You wanted to look at it from the perspective of you think the Big Ten is actually going to be stronger than the SEC in college football.
I think that you could argue that more so the additions make it, I think, to me, a deeper. I think Texas is fantastic. Well, we were talking about this before. I'm not so sure about Oklahoma. So I think I have the questions there. But when you look at the Big Ten and their additions of already, that it's the division that obviously you line up as like closer to the SEC as anything. It's Big Ten SEC talk all the time. But to me, it makes it a little deeper, in my opinion.
What I want to ask you Heeligans out there, and Dylan Denmark, I may start with you because you are a graduate of the University of Florida. I think what is fascinating with Texas and Oklahoma's arrival is I'm not so sure this is the Texas and Oklahoma the SEC signed up for.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that that's a bad or it's a better or a worse. I just think that Steve Sarkisian had only been on the job for 5 months. Brett Venables had only been on the job he hadn't even been on the job yet at Oklahoma when this news came forth. Lincoln Riley was still the coach at Oklahoma and then just, was able to weasel his way somehow to the Big Ten. What I'm curious, Texas and Oklahoma as they stand today, in your SEC power rankings, and Dylan, I can begin with you, are Texas and Oklahoma from day one, in your personal power rankings, are they top 5 programs in the SEC?
Texas is, I'd lean Oklahoma's probably outside the top 5 in the SEC. Because, if you think about it, if you just look at Texas' schedule, I'll just focus on Texas. They played a lot of close games last year, and we all know that they played well and all that. The biggest thing is just how can you deal with the physical teams week in and week out? And like you said, 3 years ago, it was, okay, Lincoln Riley's coming in with Oklahoma, and you have a Texas coach coming in, and Lincoln Riley's going to throw the ball around all over the field, and you're going to expect him to do that. Well, now it's like, okay, we're kind of changing what we're going to be. So it's going to be a lot different than what we expected whenever that announcement first came out in SEC Media Days. What was it, 2 years ago?
Yeah. 2 years ago, which, again, it feels like yesterday and it feels like 1,000 years ago all at the same time because we've been building to this. I will tell you this. Even with a new head coach, I've got Alabama ahead of Texas. I know Texas made a college football playoff last year, but I'm a bigger believer in Jalen Milroe than I am Quinn Ewers, especially because Quinn Ewers just lost a first-round wide receiver in Xavier Worthy, and he just lost a second-round wide receiver who fell out of the first round in Adonai Mitchell, who I think were a big reason for his success. It's also a defense that loses Byron Murphy and Tavondre Sweat. Yeah. Hey, credit to Steve Sarkisian. He's been recruiting at a high level since he arrived in Austin.
And they hit the portal. Isaiah Bond.
Yep, they did.
Going there.
Yep, so you lose him from Alabama. He goes to Texas. He stays in the SEC, though. But I'm taking Alabama. I'm taking Kalen DeBoer. Maybe it's just because I'm like you, Taylor. I look at what he was able to build at Washington. Hell, I look at what he was able to build at Sioux Falls after being a high school teacher once upon a time. He's won everywhere he's been. And in my opinion, he has perhaps the most naturally gifted thrower of a football under center.
I may shock people here, but I do have Alabama. I think Texas is in my top 4, personally.
They're in the 4 for you.
They're in the 4 for me.
They're in the 5 for Denmark. They're in the 4 for Taylor.
I have Ole Miss ahead of Alabama, though. I think that when you look, I'm super high on Jackson Dart. I think that when you're looking at Lane Kiffin, what Lane Kiffin's been able to do there, and that's what's so interesting with the SEC, because you have, obviously, Georgia. Georgia's the big dog right now, but we talk about Alabama, and we talk about what their expectations there are at Alabama are high, but I think that what they've been able to build in Alabama, even if Kalen DeBoer isn't at the level of Saban right away, I think that it's not going to take long for that gap to start closing.
It's not like he's some assistant that's just being hired in as a first-time head coach.
Yes, but to me, Ole Miss, I honestly want to say Georgia, Ole Miss as 1 and 2 for me when it comes to the SEC, and then probably Bama and Texas are 3-4.
So I already hinted, because I was going alphabetical order. I've got Alabama ahead of Texas. I'm more of a believer in Kalen DeBoer than I am Steve Sarkisian, especially knowing what Texas lost as much as they returned the quarterback. I agree. Georgia, Carson Beck, bringing everybody back. They get the band back together. They invade the portal. The additions they made, they're ahead of Texas for me. Ole Miss, also ahead of me. By the way, even before Lane raided the portal once again this offseason, they were the 3rd best offense in the SEC last year. I'm also going to put LSU ahead of Texas. I believe in Garrett Nussmeier. I love the fact that he has stuck it out.
You are big on Nussmeier.
This was his dream school. And he was thrown into the fire when Jaden Daniels got hurt 2 years ago in the SEC championship game as a true freshman. I give credit to guys like him, and for what it's worth, because I'll give you this, Texas, I give credit to Arch Manning. He wanted to go to Texas. He's going to ride the pine until his time. I look at what Carson Beck did at Georgia, waiting for his opportunity. I appreciate guys that do that. I also think by having Nussmeier in the system, Brian Kelly has been preparing for this moment.
Oh, yeah.
He's not Jaden Daniels. It's a different offense. Yes, they also just lost 2 first-round wide receivers, including one here in Jacksonville. But I also think that
30-some-odd touchdowns between Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. that they're losing.
But I also think that defense, because it was such a rude awakening, thanks to another guy who's also in Jacksonville and Matt House, and they did lose multiple defensive linemen, including a couple who are now here in Jacksonville. But I do think that defense has been such a talking point in the Bayou that I just don't see a world in which it's as awful as it was last year. And so that combination, knowing that offense, knowing how well Brian Kelly has recruited, I'm putting them ahead of him. How about Tennessee?
What about Missouri?
They're bringing back Brady
almost
Cook.
Everybody offensively is coming back from Missouri.
They're bringing back Brady Cook. Somehow, some way, they were the 5th best offense in the SEC last year, both in a good sense and a bad sense.
Yeah.
They're bringing everybody back, minus, what's his name? I'm blanking on his name, the running back, who was like 27 years old. He came from a D2 school. He's not coming back. Brady Cook's coming back.
Yeah.
You lose very capable corners in Enos Rakestraw and Chris Abrams-Drain on the back end. But I am genuinely curious. I may not put Mizzou ahead of Texas, but I think that for Eli Drinkwitz, a guy who was on the hot seat this time a year ago, if he is able, let's say they only win 8 games. At Mizzou, they throw you a parade for winning 8 games.
Yeah.
So and I think that's the question, Taylor.
Yeah.
Texas, been to a college football playoff, a quote-unquote ascending team in Mizzou. I'm putting them right there next to each other.
I think the question for Texas, and you alluded to this earlier, is Ewers. And I know he's in the Heisman talk for a lot of people, top 5 quarterbacks. Lauren and I ranked ours, which maybe give me yours real quick, because last week we gave our top 5 who we think are the 5 best college quarterbacks right now. Who would be your 5?
Carson Beck.
Is Ewers in that for you?
Yeah, he is. I'm putting Jalen Milroe in there.
I had Ewers at 5 because I just feel like and I mentioned this when we were ranking them, that last year I felt like when Quinn Ewers was hurt and he missed that time, the team didn't look drastically different without him. And to me, when the biggest, obviously, when you're talking about quarterbacks, if you pluck that quarterback out, the team changes. And I didn't feel like Texas did without him. Whereas you're sitting there, Manning just waiting for his shot behind
Is the quarterback actually elevating the play of the team around him, or is it the system around him?
Yeah.
I think Carson Beck did that for Georgia. Because
me too.
if anything, Carson Beck in the first 5 games under Mike Bobo as his OC was operating in a 10, 15-yard box. They were not airing it out.
Yeah.
They wanted to run the ball. I'm never going to spite that. Run the ball, play great defense, Mike Welch. Totally okay with that. But the fact that they weren't allowing the quarterback to use his God-given ability, that in turn makes you a better football team. And then when you did air it out, when you did open up the playbook later in the season, all of a sudden Carson Beck's in the conversation for the Heisman.
Yeah.
So, yes, to that point, I'm not sure Quinn Ewers does that.
In that conversation. Like what Milroe did in the second half when he came back after being benched last season, what he was able to, he elevated the offense around him. And you didn't see that in the beginning. So I don't know if it kind of, that he needed that benching and he was like, okay, I've got to turn this up a notch, but he did. And I just don't see that with Quinn Ewers personally.
Now we get to the all-important question, Taylor. So I think let's put a bow on this part of our conversation before we get ready to take our first break. I think the 3 of us we're in agreement. Texas is a top 5 team in the SEC, officially a member as of today. They're probably closer to 5 than they are 1. Oklahoma,
but they're there.
They're there. Oklahoma, I don't think any of us brought Oklahoma up.
I didn't say no.
And I mean, you lose Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah.
So there's a guy who, in my opinion, I believe at Oregon under Dan Lanning, he has the God-given ability.
He was my number 2, by the way.
Right, that he will elevate the team around him, and that's no slouch of a team either. Where do we put Florida? Where do we put Florida? Dylan Denmark, I want you to think on this.
It's not at the top.
Okay. All right.
Are they 10? Are they in the top 10?
Right around 10. I'll probably say 11, 12.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's hit the pause button on that. We want to hear from you, 641-1010. Yes, you could still hit us with your airport stories. There's plenty of you on X who are also replying and mentioning Taylor and I that you have great airport stories. You could send us those, 641-1010, or the MyBookie Digital Studio chat line. But we do want to hear from you. Where is Texas in your personal SEC power ranking? Where is Florida? We will do that, discuss that, get into that conversation and a whole lot more on the other side of this timeout on Helmets and Heels.
Helmets and Heels.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday. The local Jacksonville shop for fair prices and service you can trust.
You have heard about the 1010XL YouTube channel. Now check out our team-specific channels, 1010XL Jaguars, 1010XL Gators, and 1010XL Seminoles, bringing up specific, up-to-the-minute video coverage of your favorite local team. And find us on YouTube today.
Mia here, and we've all been there before. A weekend trip to the casino? Canceled because real life came calling. MyBookie's new and improved online casino is here to change the game. Dive into a truly realistic casino experience featuring the latest in slots, progressive jackpots, and live dealer action, all from the comfort of your own home. The live casino is so easy to use. Just go to MyBookie and click Live Casino at the top. You'll find live dealers ready to deal or spin just like you're at the casino. The MyBookie Casino provides a Las Vegas experience when the action's in the palm of your hands and you don't even need to wear pants. Start at MyBookie today with a generous sign-up bonus using promo code 1010XL. A revamped loyalty program ensures a host of exclusive VIP perks. Sign up and hit the casino with promo code 1010XL. The more you play, the more you win, only with MyBookie.
Hey Jacksonville, Taylor Doll here. Are you looking for an easy way to feed your friends and family this summer? Let your local Chick-fil-A restaurant cater your next gathering. Choose from a variety of trays, including Chick-fil-A nugget trays, mac and cheese, and of course, gallons of Chick-fil-A tea and lemonade, perfect for a get-together of any size. Place an order through the Chick-fil-A app online or by calling ahead and pick it up at your local Chick-fil-A restaurant or get it delivered directly to your door. Enjoy more of the summer season with your loved ones when you take cooking off your plate with Chick-fil-A. See details.
AC replacement? If your AC unit is ready to go kaput, then it's time to call Florida Home AC. With over $3,000 in tax credits waiting for you on select systems, take advantage of it. Call 777-4300. Get Florida Home AC to cool you off.
The saying goes, the grass is greener on the other side. Well, that is actually true if your neighbor installed artificial turf. Lauren Brooks here from my friends at Sunshine Turf, a family-owned local company that will take your backyard dreams and turn them into a reality. Caleb can design anything from putting greens to pet runs, and if you have a pool, you'll definitely love maintenance-free turf around it. Visit sunshineturf.info to get a free quote today from Sunshine Turf. That's sunshineturf.info.
Mystic Cornhole Company builds the best high-quality custom boards right here in Jax. Perfect for weddings, tailgating, your business, a day at the beach, and a great gift idea for you-know-who. See their designs at mysticcornholecompany.com.
Looking to make a great impression? Dylan Denmark here, folks, and when I want to score big, I send flowers or a plant from Jacksonville's best, Kuhn Flowers. Yeah, man, it's always a good thing to send someone a Kuhn floral arrangement, KuhnFlowers.com.
Weekends were made for sports, and I'll tell you my take on this weekend's best options. Pickett here. Watch for Weekend with Dan on YouTube and Facebook. Weekend with Dan is brought to you by Stone Core. We do outdoors better.
What's more American than grilling out for the 4th of July? Check out southernsteerbutcher.com or our social media channels for all of our 4th of July specials running June 29th through July 7th.
For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
Have you tried golfing at the improved Cimarron Golf Club? If you haven't, tell you what, you're missing out on the best deal in Jacksonville. Now, many of you have received a postcard in the mail, and of course, if you bring that with you, $45 plus tax to play. That includes a cart, lunch, and a beer at the brand new Stone Barrel Tap House. Now, go to the website, that is CimarronGolfClub.com, and sign up for the Wild One Loyalty Program. That's the Wild One Loyalty Program, and get all of these specials emailed to you from Cimarron.
There are 3 certainties in life: death, taxes, and if you stay in your home long enough, a new roof. Pickett here for our friends at Lockhart Roofing. Nobody better in Jacksonville. How do I know? They are a local certified Master Elite contractor, and that means they have a GAF Master Elite warranty. That's the best in the roofing industry. In this day and age, don't settle for cheaper discount roofers. Lockhart Roofing has been here for decades. They aren't going anywhere. Call my friends at Lockhart Roofing, 994-3851. That's 994-3851. Lockhart Roofing, Jacksonville's best for Jacksonville people.
Are your kids ready to play this summer? Come check out the Y. Summer is a time for kids to explore new things and expand the limits of their imagination. At the Y Summer Camp, every day is a new adventure. Kids can learn about STEM, arts and humanities, athletic sports, outdoor games, and more. Registration is now open, but space is limited, and spots are filling up quickly. Learn more and find your adventure at fcymca.org. Search Summer Day Camp.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
I look up at the television here at 1010XL World Headquarters. No SEC talk. We will handle that. Don't worry, Brian Windhorst and company. We've got you covered on Helmets and Heels regarding Texas and Oklahoma officially becoming SEC members today. No, instead they're discussing Klay Thompson visiting the Lakers and the Mavericks, not the Magic. We will catch up with Luke Hetrick coming up at 1 o'clock to discuss if the Orlando Magic could be players for one of the Splash Bros. But in the interim, we continue our conversation, Taylor Dahl, Dylan Denmark, regarding Texas and Oklahoma officially becoming members of the SEC today. All three of us are pretty much in agreement. We have Texas in our top 5 of our personal power rankings of the 16 teams in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
But this opens up another can of worms here in the northeast of Florida. If Texas is 5, if Texas is 4 in your power ranking, where does Florida fall in those power rankings? Because I think all three of us have the Dogs in our top 2, top 3, if not number 1 in the SEC in those power rankings. So Georgia fans, I love you, but you're already the top dog.
Yeah.
You know that. So we're just going to move on, and we're going to address the elephant in the room, which is the Florida Gators.
I think that it's hard. Before we went to break, Dylan said he has them at 11 or 12, and that's where probably I have them sitting, because to me, you are putting Tennessee ahead of them. Obviously, we talked about Missouri, Georgia, Texas, probably Texas A&M, LSU definitely. And so they just start sliding to that, to me, 10, 11 maybe is where I'm putting the Gators. I think that a lot of it, and I know a lot of people are high on Graham Mertz, and I think that what we saw last year with Graham Mertz and what we're expecting this season is even more so him being able to have this the comfortability in that offense now, kind of making it more of his own. I think a lot of the questions, though, surround Billy Napier. There were so many issues last year with like in-game decision making. Is that fixed this year? And that's going to be such a massive part on what Florida is able to do. In addition, we've talked a ton about their schedule and how difficult their schedule is. But, I mean, you're in the SEC. Get used to it. It's only going to get harder with now these additions that we're talking about, a Texas team that all of us have in the top 4.
Unless you're Mizzou, who we were just referencing.
Yeah.
Have you looked at Mizzou's schedule, Taylor?
I haven't, actually.
Okay. Murray State, Buffalo, BC. All 3 of those are in Como at home. Vandy at home. At A&M. At UMass. Watch out for the Minutemen, folks. Auburn at home. In Tuscaloosa. Home against Oklahoma, South Carolina, Mississippi State, Arkansas. So I would not say that all schedules are made equal. And so that is where we were reflecting upon the overall team rankings from a year ago. And the fact that Mizzou is bringing their quarterback back, just like Florida. But I just recited for you Mizzou's schedule. It's a little bit easier than the likes of what Florida has to go against, not only in the SEC, but right off the jump in the non-conference. You're going against a Miami team who, yes, we don't know what they are because who is Cam Ward? Do we actually know what he will look like in that offense under Mario Cristobal? Respect to that. We don't know what KJ Jefferson's going to look like with our Knights at UCF. But I can tell you this, I would be a lot more nervous about facing the likes of Miami and UCF in my non-conference than the Minutemen of Massachusetts and the Buffalo. I think they're the Buffs. I think they're the Buffs, right? They're like, it's a horned. I think it's the Buffs. I say all that to say, for as much as so many of us on the Superstation maligned Florida from a year ago, and you could make that argument that they got stronger in the trenches. They attacked the transfer portal, especially on defense. They added guys like a local one who, of course, we got to always shout out Grayson Howard down the road and Andrew Jackson, a guy who played meaningful minutes when he had 1 year at South Carolina as a true freshman, but also provides that physicality and that high IQ that you were alluding to, Taylor. We need high IQ guys. Yep. And the biggest overarching theme, which is just going back to our conversation about Texas, who are you bringing back? You could make the argument, much like Mizzou, if we're going to include Mizzou in the top 5, top 7 of our power rankings, should you be including Florida because of who they're bringing back? Yeah. Because last I checked, and I've got the numbers pulled up right in front of me, you want to talk about overall offense last year in the SEC? Mizzou averaged 435.1 yards per game. That was good for 5th in the league. The Gators were 6th. 408 yards per game. The offense, as much as, yes, perhaps we've maligned Graham Mertz and people have labeled him as a game manager, the offense was largely not the problem last year.
Yeah. Well, and one of a stat that I read about Graham Mertz, so he had 72.9 completion percentage last season, but he had the lowest average depth of a target in the SEC. So are they going to expand that? Are they going to trust him to start getting the ball downfield a little bit more? Because that's what's going to beat some of these teams when you're talking about Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, Florida State. All of these teams, you're going to have to get the ball downfield. Dylan, when you are looking at the Gators and Graham Mertz, do you think they'll be able to open it up with him, or do you think he is more of that game manager type of guy?
He can. It's just, does he have time, and can you make plays for him to, throw the ball downfield? The biggest thing for Florida that not a lot of people I think are talking about is Florida was not one of the worst in the SEC. They were one of the worst teams in the country in turnover margin. They didn't turn the ball over much on offense, but they weren't able to create turnovers on defense. And you look at the schedule, all these games at home, I'm not even talking about November. You have Miami, you have to win that game. You can't lose to UCF. You haven't beaten Kentucky yet if you're Billy Napier. You haven't beaten LSU since Joe Burrow's pick 6. Like, these are things that are writing a lot on Billy Napier that are coming straight from the jump. So if you don't come out firing, and, Billy Napier's made his bet. He wanted to play all these true freshmen last year. He didn't want to dip his toe into the portal like Norvell has at Florida State. So, okay, you want to rely on these freshmen? Okay, now these dudes got to play. And if they don't play, then you're probably going to be out of a job by the time Georgia gets here.
Do you think that you see any Lagway?
Oh, he's definitely playing.
Yeah.
Definitely playing. I think regardless of what happens to Napier, I think he plays in November regardless of what the schedule is, just because it's more of a recruiting pitch. Like, you have a plan for him, and I think he's going to play just so that, he doesn't leave, hopefully.
I know Mark, so he doesn't leave. You have to give him a little bit of a taste. I know Mark Long of the Associated Press reported on the Frangie Show 2 weeks ago that he doesn't think DJ Lagway is going to have as much on the field time this fall as some people believe. I think there's going to have to be packages. And I also think you're going to have to give him more playing time than you gave Anthony Richardson once upon a time when he was in quote-unquote packages behind Emory Jones and behind Kyle Trask, even if we really want to go all the way back to 2020. I think it's got to be more than that.
Yeah.
But hearing it from Mark, who I trust his sources in Gainesville, what if you're losing 1-score games to UCF, to Miami? It's more competitive. The product on the field looks more professional because, you actually got your special teams out onto the field, and there's enough linemen and there's enough players that need to be on the field at the right time, but you're still losing. Will Florida fans be okay with that, even if it, once again, means they're a middle-of-the-road team in the SEC?
How quickly do you think people, if it's not going well, how quickly Gator fans start saying, let's see Lagway?
Well, and that's what I think the big overarching theme of this conversation as we go through the power rankings. Where do Texas and Oklahoma factor in? Where does Florida factor in? I think that is the overarching theme. What is the standard at Florida? Because I think the plot has been lost. are you okay with, hey, we're losing 1-score games, but we're competitive.
Yeah.
We're competing with the LSUs. We're competing with the Georgias of the world. We're not getting blown out by 3 touchdowns. Is that okay? If you're telling me that's okay because you say, you know what, we got this kid in the pipeline who's going to take us to the next level and we're giving him a little bit of experience here, that's fine if that's your prerogative, but I don't believe that to be where Florida fans believe the Gators program should be.
Do you think, Dylan, as a Gator fan, if things aren't going well, but like Mia said, they are, they're winning some games or they're very close games, do you think Napier kind of holds Lagway in his back pocket, though, to be able to say, well, we've got this kid for next year? Yeah.
I think that's what he's recruiting to all these guys. I mean, it's impressive that he has a losing record, yet he's still been getting all these recruits to come to the school. I think it's more of because he's, telling these guys, we got DJ Lagway coming, and if you come, I think he got a tight end from Riverside over the weekend, and then he got a big-time receiver from down in Miami, down South Florida last week, and I think he's selling him to, hey, we got DJ Lagway. If you stay here for a couple of years, and, he's going to be really well if you come here. I think that's what he's selling.
So you've got the Gators, Dylan, in your power poll, your power ranking of the 16 teams in the SEC. You've got them 10-11.
Yeah, I'll go 11.
Okay.
Do you have South Carolina ahead of them?
No.
Taylor, you got them 10-11?
I think I say 10, yeah.
Okay.
Where do you have them?
I'm going to go right from the top, and you could tell me if I'm wrong. I got Georgia at 1. I got Ole Miss at 2. I got Alabama at 3. LSU 4. Texas 5. Tennessee 6. Mizzou 7. A&M 8. This is where it gets tough.
I know.
Because you tell me, look at Auburn, look at Kentucky. Those are 2 teams that have, at the very least in Auburn, with Hugh Freeze, they're building something. They have been able to recruit since he got back to the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky, historically, just by nature of how that program is run, the fact that it is not the de facto focal point within that athletic department, because of that, Mark Stoops can have a quote-unquote down year. And it's okay because he's building the recruiting class up over a 3-4 year period. I want to put Florida ahead of Auburn. I don't know if I can.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can. And especially because I look at Auburn's schedule and, Alabama A&M, Cal, New Mexico, Arkansas. Love for Arkansas to be good. Forever Sam Pittman fans. Oklahoma, Georgia, Mizzou, Kentucky, Vandy. UL Monroe, though. So, yeah, no, I think I'm putting Auburn ahead of Florida. So
are you?
I'm putting Auburn ahead of Florida. If for nothing else, based on momentum.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, Dylan.
And schedule.
I think that Billy Napier has somehow, some way been able to convince these young men that despite not having the results on the field, because we are seeing the Gators, quote unquote, pay dividends in the recruiting process, they are building something. But until I see something like what Auburn was able to do in the Iron Bowl, that I understand it's a loss, but guess what? That's momentum.
Yeah.
That's saying that we're maybe not as far off as you believe us to be. I don't know if I can buy that stock in Florida, and I would put Auburn ahead of them in my power ranking.
I have them right after Florida. So if I put Florida at 10, Auburn would be right behind them at 11, and then probably South Carolina after that. I've seen rankings where people have South Carolina ahead of Florida. I can't do that. I'm not putting them there.
They lost Spencer Rattler too.
Yeah.
So I mean, you had a quarterback who some people believe could be an NFL starter at some point in his career, and you were still a middle of the road offense and won 4 games last year?
Yeah. And people look at, because his arm is incredible. And so that's what a lot of people are wondering, because when I was doing kind of a lot of the draft talk, there were some people that were really high on Spencer Rattler because of his arm strength. And so you lose that, and to me, immediately your offense takes a massive hit just because you're not guaranteed to have the guy that can stretch the field like that, the way that Rattler could.
Yeah, the only teams that I'm right now confident Florida is better than are South Carolina, Mississippi State,
Vandy,
Arkansas. Although, hey, listen, never count out Sam Pittman, Vandy, and maybe Kentucky.
Yeah.
And that's a sad state of affairs.
Yeah.
Please hit us with your power ranking, 641-1010. We also have so many airport stories. We're going to get to them. That's what was bugging me, in case you missed it, to begin today's program on a Big Chief Tire Monday. Had quite the 16 hours in an airport. Hit us with your airport stories on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures or the MyBookie Digital Studio. There's also something bugging Taylor. I'm excited to hear what it is. Taylor's Tangent comes up next on Helmets and Heels.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday on Helmets and Heels.
I was overwhelmed by the power of this place, but I made a mistake too. I didn't have enough respect for that power, and it's out now.
1010XL.
We've all been there before. A weekend trip to the casino? Canceled because real life came calling. Mia here, and my friends at MyBookie's new and improved online casino is here to change the game. Dive into a truly realistic casino experience featuring the latest in slots, progressive jackpots, and live dealer action, all from the comfort of your home. The MyBookie Casino provides a Las Vegas experience where the action is in your hands, and yes, the rumors are true. You don't even have to wear pants. Start at MyBookie today with a generous sign-up bonus using promo code 1010XL and a revamped loyalty program ensuring a host of exclusive VIP perks. Don't miss out on the revamped MyBookie Casino using promo code 1010XL. The more you play, the more you win, only with MyBookie. And don't forget that promo code 1010XL.
Do you have clicking, popping, swelling, or pain in your knee or shoulder? This can be due to arthritic changes in your joints. Over time, you have wear and tear of your cartilage. I am Dr. George Bari, and here at Bari Orthopedics, we have numerous ways to treat your arthritis, such as regenerative medicine, including PRP and joint replacements with CT guidance for accuracy down to the millimeter. If you are experiencing any of these symptoms, call us for an appointment today, or log on to BariOrthopedics.com.
Find out more at BariOrthopedics.com. That's BAHRI Orthopedics.com.
Attention sports fans, are you ready to take your game to the next level? Look no further than Best Bet. You can bet anywhere, but you'll definitely win here. Experience the thrill of sports like never before. With all the major games broadcasting live on our big screens and a menu stacked with your favorite foods and refreshing drinks, you're sure to find your winning ticket. Visit BestBetJax.com to learn more. That's BestBetJax.com. Bet anywhere, win here. Only at Best Bet.
Are you feeling the heat? It's time to cool things down with Duck Duck Air Conditioning. Contact us today at 904-862-6769 or online at duckduckac.com. Duck Duck Air Conditioning to keep you cool and comfortable all year round.
Who has scored the most touchdowns in NFL history?
Is your home your most valuable asset? It is for most of us, and Southern Oak Insurance recommends an annual review. Log on to southernoak.com for more information.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
San Francisco wide receiver Jerry Rice has scored 208 touchdowns in his NFL career, 33 more than Emmitt Smith.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Hey, it's Roger Moore, CEO of Loan Pronto. If you're like me, you're getting crushed by rising costs of everything these days. I get it. It's brutal, and credit card rates are ridiculous and going higher. That's why at Loan Pronto, we launched our Express Equity Line of Credit to bring you the relief you and your family need, using your home, your most valuable asset. We've helped thousands of people like you get fast relief with cash. The average homeowner who does this gets tens of thousands in just days and is able to save $850 per month in overall expenses. I'm talking life-changing money. Your money that you have access to right now. Listen, if you're ready to get control of your finances and get off the hamster wheel, call Loan Pronto. You can get approved for Express Equity Line of Credit in just minutes, and we can get your cash in less than a week. Stop digging a deeper credit card hole today. Call Loan Pronto now. 904-999-1508. 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com. 904-999-1508.
Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. NMLS consumeraccess.org.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On July 1st, 1951, future Hall of Fame pitcher Bob Feller of the Cleveland Indians pitches his third career no-hitter, beating the Detroit Tigers 2-1.
Hey
everybody. Jennifer Marion with Randy Marion Cadillac in Jacksonville, here to say hello. And we'd sure like to have your business.
You know what? They're going to love the king of price.
My dad believes in making great deals and having a great selection in stock.
Cadillac XT4s, XT5s, and XT6s, and Escalades.
The all-electric Cadillac Lyriq.
CT4s and CT5s.
Cadillac luxury and selection is just waiting for you.
At Randy Marion Cadillac, Southside Boulevard, Jacksonville.
And don't forget, tell them Jennifer sent ya.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for Instant Keys locksmith service.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, Prime Men's Medical Center will get your sex life back in just one visit. Their painless, breakthrough medical treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Prime Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Prime Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments will restore your sex life regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. Plus, you'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients will have their testosterone checked free. Call 904-902-8222. 904-902-8222. To regain your sex life in just one visit, call now. 904-902-8222.
Former Jaguars corner and first-year head football coach at Duval Charter School at Bay Meadows, K-12, Aaron Beasley here. Are you looking for an A-rated K-12 school prioritizing academics, arts, and athletics? Duval Charter School at Bay Meadows offers a rigorous curriculum to develop strong minds with an additional focus on growing good hearts. DCSB has been an A school for 8 years, and our tuition is free. Now enrolling. Apply at baymeadowscharter.org.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes, and I have exciting news from Leonard Truck Outfitters, now with 2 great locations to get that truck hooked up. Beach Boulevard just past Southside and one on Blanding. I got my truck taken care of, and you should too. Leonard Truck Outfitters, your truck, your style.
Integrity, persistence, and standing up for victims. It's what you want in a personal injury case, and what my friend and lawyer Glenn Cohen brings to every case for over 40 years. Call Glenn at Barnes, Cohen, and Sullivan.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Helmets and Heels is switched on by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor on 1010XL.
By the way, it's not all sad news in Gatorland, Taylor Doll. Be remiss if I didn't mention Todd Golden got another. Todd Golden.
It just keeps going.
Getting a commitment, or rather signing. I can never tell with the Euros. 6'1" Slovenian guard, Urban. Oh boy, triggered. Urban Klavzar. Todd Golden finishing off his 2024-2025 roster with the 3-point specialist who shot 42.7% overseas last year. So it's not all sad news in Gator Town for those of you concerned of where we have Florida in our new 16-team SEC power rankings. We're going to talk a little bit more basketball coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. But first, oh boy, something's bugging Taylor.
Now, Taylor's Tangent, served up by Chick-fil-A on 1010XL.
All right, Mia, so we have the top 10 most clutch quarterbacks from this last season.
Currently in the NFL. Okay, who's this from?
So this is a CBS Sports ranking of it. Douglas Clausen wrote this, and so he goes through, and I'm going to start at number 10. Okay. And this one I think starts interesting right away because of a very close to home moment that we've had here in Jacksonville.
Okay.
Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert, top 10 most clutch quarterback.
Yeah.
How many games did Justin Herbert play last year? I think it was, 7?
So they say
I don't know if he was very clutch in any of those games because they picked 5th overall in this April's NFL draft.
So
he did play in 13, by the way.
Justin Herbert has converted on 42% of game-tying or go-ahead drive chances in his career, the 10th best rate in the league among active starters, and that's why they put him up here. But I feel like when we go back and when we're talking about clutch, and that's why another name on this that I'm going to read, and people are all probably going to say, what? Because I feel like when you think of clutch, you also think of that in big games and big moments and playoff games. And I think here when we saw what the Chargers and Justin Herbert did, blowing a multiple touchdown lead in a playoff game, other people would probably argue that that's not very clutch. So let's just go to number 9. I think a lot of people would probably agree with this, even though the narrative probably did change this last season. Lamar Jackson.
Okay.
Because I think
he's a two-time MVP.
Yes, I think previous to this playoff run, people questioned that. But what he was able to do last season, another MVP season, it says Jackson has the 3rd highest conversion rate on clutch drives, 48% among active starters, behind 2 names who are obviously both on this list, Patrick Mahomes, CJ Stroud.
So where's Patrick Mahomes in top 10 most clutch quarterbacks? Where does he have?
So Mahomes, let's see, scroll.
Mahomes is not number 1, is what you're.
He is 1.
Oh, he is 1. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So he said the criteria I laid out above says CJ Stroud is the most clutch quarterback in the NFL right now, but making an exception because it's Patrick Mahomes. So he wanted to put CJ Stroud number 1, but because it's Patrick Mahomes, he had to put Patrick Mahomes number 1. So just to give away that.
Were we drinking this much Kool-Aid with Trevor after making it to the second round of the playoffs?
So this is what's interesting though to me, because I'll read the insert that they have on CJ Stroud. He says nobody was better in the clutch than CJ Stroud last year. The Texans converted on 6 of 8 game tying or go ahead drive chances late with Stroud under center. His numbers in those situations were phenomenal. 77% completion rate, 10.7 yards per attempt, and a 139.5 passer rating. The best highlight was the game-winning touchdown from rookie to rookie in CJ Stroud's 470-yard 5-touchdown game, and that was when they were playing the Bucs.
And Carlton Davis was burnt toast.
Yes. So we can argue this but let's just say this is also just talking about this last season, obviously. So the more we talk about CJ Stroud and the Texans and where they stand, I think this has to be some of the narrative of what does this season look like, Mia? Because he looked great. Like, there's no arguing that he did everything you would want a rookie quarterback to do. But now that teams and defensive coordinators have a full season of film, how drastically does this change? If he continues to be this type of guy, though, that's scary for the Jaguars.
But also, you could make the argument that after the 2020 season, Justin Herbert was pretty high on a list like this because I don't want to speak out of turn, but he had numbers that looked like that in the clutch. And
that's everyone was putting Herbert in top 3 quarterback talk at that time.
But he was considered clutch. Yep. And then 2 years later, you're out here blowing a 27-0 lead.
Yeah.
And again, look, CJ Stroud very well may be great, but it's a 1-year sample size.
Yep.
And based on these metrics, I respect putting him at 2. 77% completion percentage in crunch time. That's an impressive stat.
Yeah. 139 quarterback rating in those moments.
And I understand Joe Burrow missed most of last season, but you're telling me he's more clutch than Joe Burrow? Because not only do I have 4 years, 5 years of that, but I also have his entire college career that I could go off of. And you could make the argument, CJ Stroud, I know he looked great against Georgia. You're all going to note it, you Buckeyes out there. But I could make the argument he lost to Michigan.
Yeah. Well, and so we have to go to break, but I'll just read the other ones that are on this list. Number 3 is Jalen Hurts. Number 4 is Josh Allen. Number 5 is Jared Goff. And number 6 is another interesting one, and this is the one I was saying people may be like, huh? Dak Prescott. It's that Dak Prescott Cowboys conversation is so interesting because when you go back and you actually look at Dak's numbers from last year, they were phenomenal. I mean, it was like a career year for Dak, obviously. But if Dak Prescott, with those numbers, was playing, let's say you pluck Dak Prescott and put him on a different offense, would it be the same? I'm wondering. But
it goes back to our conversation we had about college quarterbacks.
Yes.
Is the quarterback elevating the play of everyone around him, or is he simply the right cog in that machine?
Yep. So real quick, he was 5 of 9 on game-tying or go-ahead drive chances in late in games last year. Led 3 game-winning drives in primetime versus Chargers, Seahawks, and Lions. Even if the Detroit game should have ended a little bit differently, if we remember that one. The playoff heroics haven't been there though, as he's 3 of 9 in those clutch opportunities in the playoffs.
514. C.J. Stroud looked great against Georgia, but Stetson out-clutched him. Where is Stetson Bennett? Why is he not in this top 10 most clutch quarterbacks in the NFL? All right, we have to take one more time out here in the 12 o'clock hour on a Big Chief Tire Monday on Helmets and Heels. When we return, we will not only discuss NBA free agency and the NBA draft with Luke Hetrick of WSB up in Atlanta, but yes, we will also discuss Caitlin Clark versus Diana Taurasi and the Indiana Fever getting their first win against a team with a winning record. This is Helmets and Heels on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday. The local Jacksonville shop for fair prices and service you can trust. Dan Hicken.
Every time you go up in the air, you're unsafe and dangerous.
Jeff Prosser.
It's a wild card. Flies by the seat of his pants.
The Drill.
Woo! Rock and roll!
Mornings on 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
We have clearance, Clarence.
Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Jimerson Burr is a full-service, Florida-based commercial law firm dedicated to helping businesses manage risk, maximize opportunities, and move their company forward. Jimerson Burr attorneys are business-oriented lawyers, equally comfortable as community leaders, private transaction counselors, or courtroom advocates. If you have a legal issue of any kind affecting your business, contact the firm at 389-0050 or jimersonfirm.com.
A lot of companies will tell you they're the best. At Custom Tree Surgeons, they show you every time. Custom Tree Surgeons has built an all-pro team. Every tree service professional has years of experience, continually trained and certified. They know what, when, and how to handle any job. It gets done efficiently and quickly by a team of experts. So for tree trimming, removal, stump grinding, and emergency services, forget any name other than Custom Tree Surgeons. There is no job they can't do better. Go to website CustomTreeSurgeons.com. That's CustomTreeSurgeons.com and let them show you how the job is supposed to get done.
Navy Mutual was created by service members for service members, so we know what it means to serve. Our policies have no active duty service restrictions, so you can rest assured that you're covered no matter your duty station, home or abroad. To go even further, we promise that premiums will not be higher for those who serve in dangerous environments, including aviation, diving, or on deployments. Let us help you protect those you love the most. Learn more at NavyMutual.org.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Expert Automotive is ready to keep you cool this summer. Right now, get an AC inspection or a system cooling checkup. Your choice for only $19.99. Their gift to you this summer is $50 off any service and a free tire rotation with any service. Their ASE certified technicians can keep your car cool without breaking the bank this summer. Call them at 374-3373 to get an appointment today. Expert Automotive. They never sell greed, only what you need.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes, and summer's in full swing, and air conditioners are fully stressed. But do what I did and call the good folks at Fenwick Home Services to stay cool and comfortable all season long. Need a new AC system? Fenwick has free same-day estimates and next-day installations. And your new system is backed by a warranty of up to 12 years. That's right, 12 years. Fenwick also offers same-day, 24/7 service, day or night, and their expert technicians will get the job done and get it done right the first time. Book online now at FenwickHomeservices.com.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update. Florida Gators quarterback Graham Mertz, who recently spent the past 4 days at the Manning Passing Academy as a counselor, spoke to the media on his relationship with head coach Billy Napier and his trust in him.
No, I love Coach Nate. I mean, out of the portal, that was one thing, sitting down with him and talking about, okay, I got to technically have 2 years left, and how do we maximize this? And I love his vision for the program. I love his structure and everything he does. I mean, he is just an absolute technician in what he does. There's a purpose behind everything. That's one thing where when you're a leader on a team, you're a quarterback on the team, when you know your coach is setting the standard every day, it makes it that much easier to follow that, push guys and keep pushing that standard. I mean, he is absolutely a complete leader of men that I have the utmost respect for. A great relationship with him.
Gators keep adding to their 2025 recruitment class, adding local Jacksonville Riverside receiver Tayshawn Gelzy. It's 90 degrees at 1 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Light up your lunch with Helmets and Heels.
Presented by First Coast Lighting and Fans.
On 1010XL.
1 o'clock hour is here on a Big Chief Tire Monday. And before we introduce our next guest and dive into NBA free agency, I think Luke Hetrick of WSB will appreciate one of our Heeligans. Yes, the Heeligans, Luke. One of our Heeligans sentiments on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Taylor, could you please read this? This is tremendous.
So the 868, to going back to my tangent, brought to you by Chick-fil-A, had ranked the top 10 most clutch quarterbacks. On that list, Dak Prescott at number 6. And so the 868 said, no quarterback has ever done less with more than Dak Prescott. 2-5 all-time record as a starting quarterback in the playoffs. If he's clutch, then I'm a nuclear physicist.
This next guest isn't a nuclear physicist, but he can do a little bit of everything. Luke Hetrick, WSB, up in Atlanta previously with Spectrum Sports down in Orlando, covering all things NBA. I think you could be a nuclear physicist if we gave you the credentials. You'd probably figure it out, wouldn't you, brother man?
I watched 5 or 8 seasons of The Big Bang Theory, so that's about as much as I got. I actually was a nursing major in college for 2 years, but I don't know why I was, because my worst subjects in school were science. Felt like it was a noble thing to be like, yeah, I'm going to study the human body. It was the worst. It was my worst subject. So
I forgot about that.
So I did too, and it's better that I'm not. It's better that I'm not. But I want to give a shout out, ma'am, to Mo Bryan. Not only did you thrive this weekend, back on the air like nothing, you're just an elite warrior, ma'am.
Well, I appreciate that, ma'am, because it's definitely been a bit of a topsy-turvy start to July. And, again, Lauren Brooks on vacation this week. It's the Mo Bryan and Taylor Dahl show the rest of the week until Friday here on Helmets and Heels. And, of course, we appreciate you, Luke, for popping on to talk a little NBA with us. You can follow him on X at LH Sports TV. And because you have the pulse on 2 teams that are very close to home here in Northeast Florida, I thought who better to have on to discuss free agency than one Luke Hetrick. And so, Luke, let's begin with the big news of the day. I think perhaps the biggest domino. Paul George signs a max contract with the Philadelphia 76ers, who also paid Tyrese Maxey a maximum contract too, setting themselves up for that 3-headed monster of Maxey, Joel Embiid, and Paul George. Number one, give us the Paul George contract in terms of big 360-degree picture for the NBA. But then secondly, how does that affect where the Magic and Hawks can go from here?
Yeah, I think Paul George was a heightened case in free agency, where it was, this is a really good player. I don't think it's the typical free agency where you have the mega stars moving around, but it's a big name, guy that's been in big markets. He's a very good player. He's a great player. But this was more, to me, about not just going and getting the big free agent, and the big free agent makes the team. This is the biggest name out there, and it's the perfect fit to where he's going to. So I think, to me, my emphasis is let's not get it misconstrued that this isn't just some megastar signing with a big three or signing with a big brand. This is a perfect fit now, because what we've seen in the NBA, I mean, over the last handful of years, is big threes don't necessarily win. It is much more about chemistry. And when you just sort of drop Paul George into Philly with that setup, it works. Tyrese Maxey is an ascending talent, not ready yet at this point in his career. No one's asking him to be the guy that's hitting every single shot when he's got the ball in his hand. So now you have another shot creator and probably the guy that will have the ball in the final seconds of games, because Joel Embiid just can't be that guy. It's not that he's not willing. It's just the skill set doesn't lend to him creating every single shot as a 7-2 center. So to me, this was much more about where's the best fit for Paul George. The money was going to be what it was. This is what he was always slotted to make. It just ended up being Philly was the perfect place for him. And I think it got overemphasized because the Clippers just weren't going to give him the 4 years that he wanted. So I think this was obviously, in terms of just free agent pairings and where people were going, was the first domino to fall. But the money is going to go up. The cap's increasing. There's going to be another big uptick here in a few years. So this was much more, not so much about getting a free agent just going somewhere. It was about perfect fit.
Now, Luke, the other big storyline that is flashing on our screens right now, Klay Thompson, 13 seasons with the Warriors, now headed elsewhere. It seems like the two teams in talks for him, the Mavs and the Lakers. Where do you think he fits best? What do you think that looks like for Klay moving forward?
Yeah, I think the Mavericks are intriguing because they desperately needed shooting in the finals, but they're still a good three-point shooting team on paper. I think there's an avenue for him to go there now with Derrick Jones Jr. being out. It'll be interesting to see what kind of contract he gets. Look, the heartstrings are going to be the Lakers. His dad, Michael Thompson, played there. Klay has always been linked to the Lakers. It's always been one of those things that if he's not at Golden State, what are they going to do? The Lakers seem like a viable fit. I think he probably ends up going to L.A. I think that is a place where, with J.J. Redick, will value shooting. It's something that is clearly lacked with the Lakers the last couple years. I think he goes there, but honestly, the better fit would be for Dallas because he has played and thrived off the ball for so many years with Steph Curry that Luka and Kyrie can kind of be those guys to facilitate for him. I don't know how easy it is for him to just transition and be plopped into L.A., where it's not going to be so much. They want it to be space and pace, but they don't really have the personnel to do that. So Dallas is the better fit for him. I think he ends up going to L.A.
But, Luke, you never bought the smoke of Klay Thompson and the Orlando Magic being a potential pairing?
No, I did not. I did not think it was going to be. I didn't think Klay would want to go to something that, and I say this not as what the situation is with the Magic, but someone like Klay might view it. A guy that's won 4 titles, perennial all-star, played with the greatest of all time. He'll look at the Magic as a project because they're still ascending. They're still not completely established as what they are. They're still growing. So he was never going to go there. Now, do I think he could have listened? Yes, but I think the Magic ended up getting the best guy possible for their wallet and the situation in KCP. But I don't think the Klay fit was ever going to work. There was a much better chance of actually getting Paul George than there was a Klay Thompson.
That's interesting. I want to ask you a little bit more about Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who did agree to a 3-year contract with the Magic. But first, Luke, you get to react to Dak Prescott and top 10 clutch quarterbacks, and you also get to react to a quick that, Dylan Denmark, if you could cue our that up. Oh, okay, hold on. Well, we're going to do our own that just happened then. We just got news that the Boston Celtics are expected to make the franchise available for sale, according to Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN, and the investment group that purchased the team in 2002. I'll pit it, Dylan.
That just happened. Brought to you by Florida Home AC, the official air conditioning partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I had to let you hear that, Luke. But yes, the investment group that purchased the Celtics in 2002, led by Wyke Grousbeck, I definitely just butchered that, apparently making the team available. Simultaneously, the Celtics just signed Derek White to a 4-year contract, so a double that, if you may. What do you make of the moves I just outlined for the now defending NBA champions, Luke Hetrick?
As far as the team sale, that's above my head right now. Not having enough time to look at it is breaking. I'd say the Derek White move is very intriguing. No one's hit more timely, weird shots in the playoffs that's not a star player than Derek White. I mean, between Game 6 of the Heat last year, he's banked in a couple threes in random playoff games. It's a good culture fit for him. As far as the sale goes, I didn't even know that was going to happen. So, hey, have fun. How about it? I just don't want to say anything that I'm going to sound so moronic at, so I'm just not. It's cool.
It's all right.
Awesome.
These sales, I mean, I just think it's interesting. You win an NBA championship, and now you're going to sell the team.
That's what I should have said.
Right. Sell while the stock's high, I suppose. Which, speaking of stock that's high, KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, why is he the right fit, Luke, for the Orlando Magic?
Because he's plug and play. You drop him in, and he's the right player at the right time. They get him. Everyone wins in this situation. KCP gets over $20 million per year for the first time in his career, and he's earned it. He's a two-time champ. He's a very good perimeter defender and a three-point shooter. The last box is what the Magic absolutely need checked. That's what they needed. What they wanted was the other box and an elite perimeter defender. Jamal Mosley is a guy that likes full-court pressure. He likes guys that are able to extend. He wants you to hound the ball, specifically on pick and rolls. KCP can do that. And you look at it with where they're at in shooting. I mean, it cost them Game 7 last year. They're going to the Eastern Conference semifinals if they can hit threes. And this was one of those things where it was, let's take care of everything else and try and get shooting. This has always been an organization that does not go, oh, great, a shooter. That's all we care about. They have to have every other box checked specifically for how Jamal Mosley wants to play offensively and through Paolo and Franz. So this is the right move, and I think what it's most important is it signals the process and where this organization is at in their growth. They had to be bad a few years ago. They sold the farm at the trade deadline, got rid of Nikola Vucevic, Evan Fournier, Aaron Gordon. They started from scratch. They had 2 really bad years. They get Paolo, Franz, Jalen Suggs. They're ascending, and as a small market team, this is the place you want to be at right now. Getting guys that want to be there. And KCP has 2 rings. KCP is a very critical piece to the Lakers bubble run and the Nuggets the last couple years. So him choosing Orlando is a huge feather in their cap. It reminds me a lot of the 94-95 team with Shaq and Penny when Horace Grant left Chicago after 3 titles and chose Orlando. Now, he gets about $6 million more a year, but he would have been satisfied probably staying in Denver and being able to compete for titles, but he wanted to be in Orlando. That was a place for him, and this is the guy the Magic wanted for the right price, right fit, right situation.
Now, Luke, you mentioned something close to home for me. I'm a Bulls fan. It hasn't been very fun, but that Vooch trade, I think Orlando definitely won that one, I would say. What are your feelings on the trade, the Caruso-Giddey trade for Chicago?
I think as much as I just gave a glowing review of the Magic, amp it up by 50 for OKC. I mean, Sam Presti, what he's been able to do, the draft and development, and now adding these pieces, I just think it adds so much more depth, talent, specifically in Caruso in the backcourt. But I really like the Isaiah Hartenstein move. You know, he gets his bag, but that now adds so much depth in the front court to Chet Holmgren, which I'm not trying to, smear his name, but being built the way he is and that he was able to physically hold up for the entire regular season and the playoffs was amazing. He missed, I think he played only 14 games his rookie year, didn't play much, or didn't actually play at all, excuse me. But, getting that and then getting Caruso, a really good defender, a guy that can push the ball. OKC does like to play in the half court. With Shea, that's their personnel. Caruso, I think, adds another element to what they can do. Now, he's not a star, but he's a really quality piece. I think it's a home run move specifically on that for OKC and what they're able to do. And they're able to also bring back Isaiah Joe. They have Shea still under contract. So things are really good for them. And I'm sorry about things with the Bulls, but hey, Jalen Smith, 3 years, $27 million.
There you go.
Let's touch them all. We touched upon the team you used to cover and still keep tabs on in the Orlando Magic, Luke. Now the team that you do cover, the Atlanta Hawks, trading DeJounte Murray. We just outlined how Orlando tore it down just 3-4 years ago. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like the Hawks are headed towards a similar trajectory, and could Trae Young be next?
Trae Young could be next. I don't think he will be next. I think he's got a couple years left on this deal. He's very close with Nick Ressler, the owner's son. That has been a relationship that has been well documented. Nick Ressler was very influential in getting DeJounte Murray to Atlanta to begin with. That was a move that was made that did not have the support of, at the time, GM Travis Schlenk. That's why he is no longer there. That move also accelerated then Landry Fields stepping into the GM role. And Nick Ressler, there's been talk of him having so much power within this organization based on his relationship with Trae Young. Trae's made it clear he wants to win, but he would like it to be in Atlanta. Trae also signed with CAA, signed with Calvin Andrews. He wants to be in LA. He wants to be that guy that can go play with LeBron and win a title and be that missing piece. I don't know if they let it happen. I don't know if they're able to make it happen because right now, Trae Young is a very, very good player, but based on how he plays and let's call it what it is, how he may be perceived league-wide, not being on an Olympic team, not being asked to represent the country in FIBA or anything like that, his stock is a little bit low. It was much easier for this organization to trade DeJounte Murray, even though he's probably the guy the Hawks would have more success building with. So right now, they're at a standstill. If they're going to want to be successful with Trae, they're going to have to make 2 or 3 more moves to make him happy. If not, they're going to have to try and find a suitor for him. And there will be some out there, but at the right price. And if the Hawks get enough in return, I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. So my guess is they'll probably just end up biting the bullet and riding this thing out for another few years.
Let me ask you this. It's a conversation we've had, especially the last couple months, quite a bit. The next face of the NBA, and we were talking about if Luka Doncic and they ended up winning, how possibly it could be that. Do you see a guy like Anthony Edwards being able to play that role for the NBA?
Yeah, sure. Just win.
Yeah.
I thought it was so premature to do that when he had just beat Denver that it was, okay, he's the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just did not understand that at all, but this is how, our debate culture works now, where we have to anoint someone before they're ready, and if they don't live up to what we've said they are, then they're a bust, and then they're a choke artist, and they haven't lived up to it. So I think Anthony Edwards could be that. I think the league's in a really good place right now. There's not an identity crisis. We just have flourished so much as an NBA society, knowing for years and years it was Magic and Bird,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was Michael, and then it was Kobe, and then it was LeBron, and now LeBron's, almost out the door. And what are we supposed to do with that? We've tried to do it with Giannis, with Nikola Jokic, with Embiid, with Luka. If we're going to say there's a face of the NBA, I just call it a Mount Rushmore right now instead of one singular face. And I think you could put a Luka, you could put a Nikola Jokic on it. I don't think Anthony Edwards is there yet, but maybe add a Giannis because he has a title. Still, I even put Steph Curry on it, even though he's of the older gap. But we can be patient with this. We can be patient with the face of the NBA conversation. And if Anthony Edwards rips off a couple MVPs and some titles, then we're changing the conversation completely. But until he does that, or at least just gets one under his belt, let's just table it.
Do you think that if it wasn't for off-the-court stuff that Ja Morant would be in that conversation for that guy?
It could be.
Yeah.
It could be. Ja Morant does have a lot of Allen Iverson to him, where there's the appeal. He connects with so many young players. It's different. It's flashy. We're not used to seeing, we see guards, elevate and play above the rim, a Derrick Rose, a Russell Westbrook. No one of that body stature. He's very slender. But, yeah, I'm sure definitely off-the-court stuff plays into it, and it should as well in terms of how we look at him. But Ja's a guy that I think will need some rehabilitation. And I also think he'll probably need a new market to go to. That to help him ascend, he'll probably have to have a fresh start and not have it be in Memphis. As much as I want it to be, because I think that's I'm sympathetic to small markets, I think it's probably going to have to be he goes and pairs up with someone else.
Last one for you, one Luke Hetrick of WSB up in Atlanta. It's the last bullet point when Taylor and I sat down and said, what do we want to ask Luke about? And I literally typed out, the Lakers have the opportunity to do the funniest thing ever in the fact that LeBron James is going to decline his option, try to restructure a new deal. Wouldn't it be hilarious if he just up and left them with Bronny? I know it's not going to happen, but I had to get your opinion on the nepotism war that will continue and rage on in Southern California.
My girls are on demon time right now.
I didn't ask you about Caitlin Clark. Our listeners, our Heeligans, really want me to, but we're going to run out of time.
No, you asked me about Caitlin. You asked me about Caitlin all you want. No, LeBron does have the funniest thing to do, because wouldn't it be great? It honestly would be better for Bronny if he did leave, where it's like, hey, I got you the job. I got you in the door.
Mm-hmm.
And based on some of the quotes that Bronny said, I want to make my own name, be my own man. I'm focused on my career. That would kind of be the right way of doing it. Like, hey, I don't have to be in Dad's shadow. Dad doesn't have to stand up for me. Like, if Bronny does something that a teammate doesn't like and they're in a scuffle at practice, is LeBron going to take the teammate's side, even if Bronny's wrong? Like, how does that work? Where it's like, Bronny, you just might have to learn not having Dad's shadow cast over you. Really more of a protective bubble. So I'm kind of for it, but LeBron won't do that.
It would be the funniest.
And he should be. This has been a goal of his. Like, look, with all the nepotism stuff in the NBA that we're talking about, nepotism is rampant in the NBA. I just mentioned it in Atlanta. It's fine. It's fine for LeBron to do this. If anyone's deserving of it, it's him. His son almost died a year ago. Go enjoy the time and savor the year or two you have with him. But I'm also someone that subscribes to chaos. Man, that would be fun.
Demon time.
It was like on draft night and everybody was posting like, oh, the Celtics have the opportunity to do something hilarious here. It was like right.
I would have been in full support of it. I would have been just to add another layer to the rivalry. And then we get angry LeBron, who's like, go out and make every move possible to get me stars so I can dethrone Boston.
30 seconds. Caitlin Clark, Diana Taurasi yesterday. What was most impressive to you?
That Caitlin is incredibly poised and is unfazed by any of these situations. I mean, every single time she goes out there, it is, okay, she's not ready. We got to prove her wrong. She's not there yet. She turns the ball over too much. Doesn't matter how many assists. The supporting cast isn't perfect. It's nowhere near where it needs to be. And she just goes out there and does it time and time again. And she doesn't react. And she doesn't say anything controversial in her post game. And she just plays the game. And it's so much damn fun to watch. And I will be, Mia, you know this. I was not a Caitlin Clark fan her junior year. I've said that. I was like, man, she talks so much trash. Just wait till South Carolina gets their hands on her. And then she dropped 41. And I was like, you know what? I'm a changed man. Praise Jesus. This is heaven. It's Iowa. She did that for me. So you know what? I'm a Caitlin stan from now on. And more importantly, I'm a Mo Bryant stan. So you tell me what I need to subscribe to, and I will.
I'm still mad at Christy Sides for not putting Caitlin out on the floor just to get one more rebound. So she would have been the first WNBA rookie to ever have a triple-double.
Look, Christy Sides has never been a head coach until she got the fever.
I know.
These are things she's got to learn. People are quick to point that out, too.
Right. It's a young team, and Diana Taurasi has played over 100 more games than the entire Fever roster combined.
Oh my gosh.
You have been a saucy nug there. You've been way too generous with your time, my friend. Luke Hetrick, again, you can find him WSB up in Alabama. Wow, no, in Atlanta. We'll hold off on your thoughts on Alabama and the SEC, Luke, for a different time. But thank you so much for joining us at LH Sports TV on X. Appreciate you, brother, man.
Ma'am, Taylor, thank you so much as always. Be well.
There he goes. Again, Luke Hetrick, and he previously covered the Orlando Magic down in Orlando for Spectrum Sports. We still have a whole lot to get to. We were so worried when we sat down this morning, Taylor, and we're like, wow.
It was a little chaotic.
The O'Brien and Taylor Doll show is we're also prepping for the first ever 1010XL 4th of July cook-off. Oh, and we both are climbing out of the email abyss this morning. I hate to say it, but we've only got about a half hour left, and we still got a whole lot to get to. I want to get to some headlines. Your favorite headline from the sports weekend, and yes, you can also send us your airport stories. We're on demon time, apparently, according to Luke Hetrick. We're going to keep it rolling on a Big Chief Tire Monday on Helmets and Heels.
Big Chief Tire Monday on Helmets and Heels. This hour of Helmets and Heels is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers. Frank Franchi.
Questions? Does Barry Manilow know that you raid his wardrobe?
Frank Franchi.
Don't mess with the bull, young man. You'll get the horns.
Afternoons on 1010XL.
Yeah, but he ought to have a real gig.
92.5 FM.
Next question.
Mia here, and we've all been there before. A weekend trip to the casino? Canceled because real life came calling. MyBookie's new and improved online casino, though, is here to change the game. Dive into a truly realistic casino experience featuring the latest in slots, progressive jackpots, and live dealer action, all from the comfort of your home. The live casino is so easy to use, folks. Just go to mybookie.ag and click Live Casino at the top, just to the right of where you normally click the sportsbook. You'll find live dealers ready to deal or spin, just like you're at the casino. The MyBookie Casino provides a Las Vegas experience where the action is in your hands. And yes, the rumors are true. You don't even have to wear pants. Start at MyBookie today with a generous sign-up bonus using promo code 1010XL and a revamped loyalty program ensuring a host of exclusive VIP perks. Sign up and hit the casino with promo code 1010XL. The more you play, the more you win, only with MyBookie.
At Honda, we appreciate all the comparisons to other vehicles. And no matter how many times they compare their vehicles to a Honda, only a Honda is a Honda. Remember, value, quality, safety, there is no substitute. Visit your local Honda dealer now and experience the difference.
DivorceMenOnly.com. This is Kenny Lay of Kenny Lay & Associates. Our firm specializes in representing men in family law. That's all we do. That's our only focus. We can help with all of your family law needs, such as divorce, custody, alimony, and child support. For over a decade, we have helped thousands of men with these types of issues. We even have an appellate division ready to challenge a judge's ruling. If you need a family law attorney, go to DivorceMenOnly.com. DivorceMenOnly.com. Offices, Jacksonville.
The Sunshine State says it all in the nickname. That summer sun in Florida can take its toll on an air conditioning unit and send your electric bill through the roof. Florida Home AC can help you handle the heat with a brand new AC unit with low monthly payments and over $3,000 in federal tax credits on select systems. So this summer, don't sweat it out. Cool off with Florida Home AC, the official AC company of the Jaguars. Call them today, 777-4300, and check out their tremendous savings on a brand new AC system.
Are you embarrassed by your ugly, cracked concrete driveway? Need to enhance your home's curb appeal? Stonecore on Phillips Highway is your one-stop shop for all your outdoor needs. Replacing with new stone pavers will transform your driveway into a stunning work of art. Say goodbye to unsightly concrete and hello to beautiful, durable pavers that last for years. Visit Stonecore today and let's beautify your home together. Stonecore.co. We do outdoors better.
Former Jaguars corner and first-year head football coach at Duval Charter School at Bay Meadows, K-12, Aaron Beasley here. Are you looking for an A-rated K-12 school prioritizing academics, arts, and athletics? Duval Charter School at Bay Meadows offers a rigorous curriculum to develop strong minds with an additional focus on growing good hearts. DCSB has been an A school for 8 years, and our tuition is free. Now enrolling. Apply at baymeadowscharter.org.
I'm Hacker. Get more Gators on the Gator Bites podcast presented by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists with new episodes every Wednesday. Subscribe and listen by searching for 1010XL Florida Gator Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or TuneIn.
If you're searching for a new fence installation, challenge yourself to find a fence company with more positive online reviews than Superior Fence and Rail. With over 3,000 reviews and a 4.9 out of 5 review range, Superior Fence and Rail is, well, superior. So take the online challenge or let their professional team show you what superior service looks like. Superior Fence and Rail, where quality matters.
SuperiorFenceandRail.com. I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwoods. I've heard people selling diamonds saying they have high-quality diamonds at rock-bottom prices. Can that happen?
Frank, that'd be like a Mercedes dealer saying they sold at the same price as a Yugo. That just doesn't happen in any industry, and people who believe it are always the ones looking for something too good to be true, and they normally find out later it was. In diamonds, when you talk about higher-quality diamonds with credible diamond grading reports from GIA, AGS, or Forevermark, the prices are higher, but so is the quality and value. Now, for a customer to understand that, they have to try to learn things like going to the internet, but they're going to get confused because they don't have an expert to ask questions to. The best way to get answers is to come in one of our stores and ask one of our professionals what those questions are and have them explain real diamonds to you. The result will be you'll understand more about a diamond's quality, price, and value by coming in.
Underwood Jewelers in San Marco, in Avondale, and at the shops of Ponte Vedra.
Jumbo Shrimp Baseball presented by FIS is home at 1-to-1 Financial Ballpark today through Wednesday. Tonight at 7:05 is Tulsa Welding Appreciation with free tickets for military personnel and dependents. Wednesday is our biggest fireworks show of the year presented by Nimnick's family of dealerships. JackShrimp.com for tickets. That's JackShrimp.com. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, affordable family fun.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes, and I have exciting news from Leonard Truck Outfitters, now with 2 great locations to get that truck hooked up. Beach Boulevard just past Southside and one on Blanding. I got my truck taken care of, and you should too. Leonard Truck Outfitters, your truck, your style.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Tonight, we lie away. You're listening to Helmets and Heels.
Illuminated by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
On 1010XL.
Thanks again to Luke Hetrick of WSB up in Atlanta for joining us and breaking down all of the very latest when it comes to NBA free agency and beyond. We had so much fun with Luke Taylor that we forgot to remind our Heeligans that we do have lunch with the ladies up for grabs.
We do. Lunch for 2 to Chick-fil-A. So if you call us right now, let's say caller number 2, 641-1010, gets 2 gift cards to Chick-fil-A, so lunch on us.
Not too shabby, especially during a holiday week. You know, you're driving around, you're saying, I really want to have to go make food. I can just pop on in Chick-fil-A. So give Pockets a call. He is sitting in for RJ Saunders this week. Lauren Brooks on vacation as well. So it's Mo Bryan and it's Taylor Dahl here on a Big Chief Tire Monday of Helmets and Heels. We've spanned the gamut. We've spanned the wide world of sports. From Bobby Bonilla to Texas and Oklahoma joining the SEC to NBA free agency and beyond. Taylor, as much as we look at the calendar and we say it's July, there's not a whole heck of a lot outside of midseason baseball going on. Yeah. It was a pretty wild weekend in sports. I'm going to give you a couple headlines, and I want you to tell me what was your favorite headline from the sports weekend. So we already touched upon the Caitlin Clark versus Diana Taurasi. The I don't want to say the character, like the what do we call it with in the WNBA? It's all about the character-driven storylines. Character-driven storylines. Aaron Judge is unstoppable. The Mets and Grimace continue to win somehow, some way. Shout out to Christian Miller, by the way, of Creekside High School. Almost made the U.S. Olympic team at 18 years old. UFC 303, we have a fun story there about a fighter getting called in on 3 hours' notice. And I already know your answer, so I'm just going to save it for last. An escalator collapsed at Miller Park during the Brewers-Cubs game.
Yeah. I'll speak on that just because I had some friends actually at the park at the game and were injured on this escalator. Long story short, it glitched and just started moving incredibly fast. And you see I've seen videos before, but never hitting so close to home where I had friends actually experience this. It's scary because it started speeding up, so no one could get off the escalator in time, so it was just like a pile up at the bottom of the escalator. Multiple people, I heard like 11, 12 people hospitalized from this incident. A couple of my friends a little banged up. Luckily, nobody majorly hurt, but it's a scary situation. And side note, it's not the first time it's happened. They've had multiple at this park. That like specific escalator has already had these issues, which is insane. So super scary moment. Luckily, nothing too crazy. Some injuries and some hospitalizations, but nothing extreme. The Mets story is fascinating. How they
Grimace, baby.
I mean, Dan had his funeral on the drill for the Mets, and 1 week later, or 2 weeks later, it was probably about 2 weeks ago where he had their funeral. And 2 weeks later, we're seeing Jose Iglesias perform his rap song before the game. There's a guy dressed up as Grimace shotgunning beers outside the stadium during a rain delay. And it's the Mets story all of a sudden is very entertaining.
And now it's reached a point where fans are showing up dressed as Grimace, who, of course, is the McDonald's mascot, the big purple guy, if you're not familiar. And, yes, the Mets were one of the worst teams in Major League Baseball until Grimace started showing up and threw out the first pitch.
Yeah,
and
it was that Grimace game.
He threw out the first pitch. They went 7-1 from there. And ever since, I saw on Wednesday they had, for the Subway Series, a fan came in dressed as Grimace and was carrying children up and down the aisles at Citi Field. And so now we are sacrificing children to Grimace. But if it results in the Mets winning, I think Dan Hicken and the Mets fans out there, they'd sign up for it again.
I mean, you're looking at a team now that was, like I said, just counted out completely, and now they're looking at the playoffs. I don't think they'll be able to catch Philly unless something crazy happens. They're 13 and a half games back from the Phillies. So that is going to be difficult. They're 8 games back from, or I guess 5-6 games back from the Braves, I think. But it's fascinating how quickly, and that's baseball for you, though. It's wild. The Cubs still keep sucking, so I've honestly just given up on baseball this season. I kind of joked about it, Mia, because obviously the big storyline for the Cubs was getting Craig Counsell from the Brewers, and it's been such a disaster. Brewers fans probably are enjoying this with all of their heart because we stole their manager and everything just falls apart. But I think that he came here to sabotage us at this point.
This was all like undercover assignment.
Cody Bellinger forgot how many outs there were in the game the other day. Like just silly things like that where that doesn't happen in Major League Baseball.
Yes, 910. The Mets are 0-2 since the wrap, though.
Oh, no.
I suppose that's
Was
true.
that the reverse curse?
The reverse curse of Grimace was now you just had to have a player wrap. Speaking of the Mets, I did allude to it. It is Bobby Bonilla Day. Bobby Bonilla will collect a check for $1.193 million from the New York Mets. That trend will continue every July 1st through 2035. Here's an interesting one, though, for you, Taylor. I'm going to throw a curveball at you. Did you know it's not just Bobby Bonilla who gets paid on July 1st? The Nats will pay Max Scherzer $15 million today.
Oh.
Ken Griffey Jr. is getting his final installment from the Cincinnati Reds today for $3.59 million. Manny Ramirez will get $1.96 million from the Boston Red Sox today.
Whew.
So I don't know what it is about July 1st, maybe because it's the start of quarter 3, but I kind of enjoy this bit of every July 1st. That's when these players who haven't played in decades, but their contracts were deferred, and so therefore on July 1st here, happy payday for your one day of the year.
Are the Jaguars still paying Nick Foles?
Good question. Unsure. Real quick before we get ready to make the turn for home, I did want to note a little UFC talk because when we sat down, Taylor, and we're like, it was a crazy weekend in sports, even if it wasn't necessarily our typical headlines during a football season, let's say. UFC 303. What if I told you, and let's take this even beyond fighting, right? A fighter lives in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
He sees that Brian Ortega, longtime UFC fighter, had a fever, and the Nevada Gaming Commission determined that he would not be able to fight Diego Lopez in the co-main event on Saturday night as part of International Fight Week. And so, shout out, I'm going to butcher his name, to Dan Ige, who lives in Las Vegas, saw the tweets, saw the reports, texted Dana White and company and said, do you need me to drive down? Drove down, they did the paperwork, and 3 hours later, he fought in the co-main event. And so I ask you, Taylor, and I ask you, Heeligans, we'll leave with you with this. Give me another sport. Give me another example. Because the first one we thought of was the emergency goalie in hockey. In which
that's the obvious one because there's just been many situations. You don't see it often, but there's been several situations where like playoff emergency goalies having to show up for a playoff game because let's say, goalie number 1 gets hurt and they're on their backup and then now they're kind of like in an emergency situation, have to figure it out. And there's been some, I want to say actually the Blackhawks in 2015,
it was.
Scott Darling, he was an emergency quarterback, ended up winning multiple playoff games that series and that the year they ended up winning the cup. So you see stuff like that. Another thing, Mia, that it made me think of is COVID year, because in 2020, there was obviously one person would get COVID and the next thing you know, like 15 people couldn't play. And so we were seeing very deep into some depth charts at that point where like running backs and wide receivers having to play quarterback in certain times.
Long live Kendall Hinton. Kendall Hinton is technically a free agent wide receiver right now, played at Wake Forest, was a quarterback once upon a time, signed with the Broncos as an undrafted free agent in 2020. I don't think he knew then what we all know now, which is he was asked to play quarterback, make his debut in that 2020 season because the entire quarterback room for the Denver Broncos had tested positive or was part of contact tracing. And so, yes, when I saw and heard about this storyline, which we did think about having UFC, or I should say 1010XL's MMA analyst Bo Valentine on. Maybe we will a little bit later this week. I couldn't help but think, man, the thought of you're just some guy walking on the street 4 hours earlier, and now all of a sudden here you are on ESPN, like on a pay-per-view.
So how'd he do?
The fight went 3 rounds, so he lost by decision 2-1. But it did go 3 rounds.
Oh.
He didn't get knocked out, did not end by submission. And I think what's also important to note is their records were somewhat similar. So Diego Lopez came in with a 25-6 record, and then Iggy came in 18-8. And so it wasn't like some guy who had never fought in the UFC before. So I should note that.
Yeah.
But I think you could say the same.
It wasn't like they weren't like, hey, Dylan Denmark, do you want to come fight in the UFC?
Right. But I think you could say the same thing with the emergency goalies.
Yeah.
Or even
a lot of times
Kendall
they're
Hinton.
working their like day job. They're at like their office working their 9 to 5, and they get the call and they're like, hey, can you play goalie this weekend? Okay.
We did get some submissions. 240 says that there was a caddy. Oh, that's true.
Yes, I remember the caddy.
Guy, no, at the U.S. Open.
Yes.
He was just some fan, and he was like, I will caddy the rest of the way. Yeah, that's a great one.
Someone said, the 678 said, I would have done it for free as long as my medical bills were covered.
Yeah, you're not wrong. This one is from 612. Series A Zamboni driver in-game ended up playing for Carolina versus Toronto. Both the goalies for Carolina got hurt during the game. Yes, that's the one I remember.
That
the
is
Zamboni
hilarious.
driver, which is amazing. Just amazing. So a couple of headlines from the sports weekend. If you have some other great ones, please send them to us at 641-1010. And yes, we are accepting airport stories too, because I think we're going to have to wrap today's show with some of your best of the best submissions, both on the text line as well as on the MyBookie digital studio. This is Helmets and Heels.
It's a Helmets and Heels Big Chief Tire Monday. Helmets and Heels. This hour is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers. There's an energy and drama to play-by-play sports.
This crowd, a big factor.
You never know what's going to happen.
Wow!
Feel the energy on 1010XL, Jacksonville Sports Radio.
Mia here, and you've heard me rave about my friends at Duck Duck Rooter, the #1 master septic contractor in all of Florida. But don't forget about Duck Duck Air Conditioning, the Jacksonville area's AC experts. The temperature has, needless to say, turned up a notch, and should your AC not be working at your home or business this summer, Duck Duck AC can help. Call 904-862-6769.
Let's fire up the flavor and ignite those appetites. Let's slow down and smell the barbecue. Because all your favorites are smoked for hours and ready for eating when you are. From our famous ribs to slow smoked pork. Enjoy some perfection by the plateful, safely in our dining room or in the comfort of your home. With curbside pickup, drive-through, and delivery. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
Hey folks, Hicken here for Zero Res. You and I know Zero Res loves cleaning carpets in your home. But did you know Zero Res can also clean the carpets where you work? Take a look at the floors where you work, and if they need cleaning, suggest to the boss they call Zero Res. For the month of July, Zero Res offering 20% off all commercial carpet cleaning. Call Zero Res, and they'll come out and give you a free estimate on what it will take to get the job done. Zero Res, man, you spell it forward. Zero Res, you spell it backwards. Zero Res, it's the right way to clean.
Visionaries, builders, and doers. Are you ready to change the world? Miller Electric is your opportunity to shape the future. Miller Electric is leading the charge in electric vehicle technology with our state-of-the-art EV Innovation Design Center. We're working to create a sustainable future. We're also the proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, powering their performance at the brand new Miller Electric Center. Miller Electric, we provide competitive pay, unbeatable benefits. Apply today. MillerCareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
The wait is over. Dell Technologies Black Friday and July deals are live. Check out incredible savings on select laptops and more, like the XPS 15, powered by Intel Core processors. The XPS 15 brings you the perfect balance of power and portability, plus stellar visuals and immersive sound. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to exceptional tech and electronics, plus free shipping on everything. Don't miss out on Black Friday and July savings at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
Navy Mutual was created by service members for service members, so we know what it means to serve. Our policies have no active duty service restrictions, so you can rest assured that you're covered no matter your duty station, home or abroad. To go even further, we promise that premiums will not be higher for those who serve in dangerous environments, including aviation, diving, or on deployments. Let us help you protect those you love the most. Learn more at NavyMutual.org.
org. It's the Sporting Jacks Soccer Hour. Join Cole Pepper, Mauricio Ruiz, and Becky Burley as they discuss the latest in the world of soccer, including Sporting Jacks bringing pro men's and women's soccer to Jacksonville. Mondays at 6 on 1010 a.m.
Are your kids ready to play this summer? Come check out the Y. Summer is a time for kids to explore new things and expand the limits of their imagination. At the Y Summer Camp, every day is a new adventure. Kids can learn about STEM, arts and humanities, athletic sports, outdoor games, and more. Registration is now open, but space is limited, and spots are filling up quickly. Learn more and find your adventure at fcymca.org. Search Summer Day Camp.
If you're a veteran, listen up. Did you know that you can access up to 100% of your home's equity right now? Hey, Prosser here. You can do it with Loan Pronto's VA Equity Advantage program. You can get 30, 50, 100 grand or more and use that money to pay off all those credit cards, personal loans, car loans, or maybe use the cash to do that home improvement project. Veterans love working with Loan Pronto because they make it easy. No junk fees, no hassle. They can unlock that cash in your home's equity in a matter of weeks. Don't keep paying insane rates on credit cards. There's a smarter alternative with Loan Pronto. Get more info and start the process now at loanpronto.com. Or if your current VA loan rate is over 6.5%, Loan Pronto can get you in a streamlined refinance with a lower rate right now with no income verification and no appraisal. Lower your monthly payment big time. Loan Pronto makes it so easy for veterans. So call now, 904-999-1508. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1666171, subject to lender approval.
Hey guys, this is David Garrard, and I want to tell you about Clearwater Irrigation. They put my new sprinkler system in my new home at Jack's Beach, and I couldn't be happier. Oh, hey, John.
What's up, Dave? You know what this means. You're going to have to sing.
Man, I can't sing.
Then you'll fit right in, buddy. Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers. Hit it, Dave.
And drainage, too.
ClearwaterJacks.com.
For any urological concerns, let Ackerman Urology be your trusted partner in men's health. With offices from Amelia Island to World Golf Village, they treat bladder conditions, elevated PSAs, and ED. Visit AckermanUrology.com.
Hey, David here with Royal Pest Services. Men, are you struggling in the bedroom? Do spiders and roaches have you scared? Visit RoyalPestServices.com and let us help you get that man card back. Guaranteed results on our first visit.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
Okay, so I'm not going to retract my statement, Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
I did start thinking during a break. I went to go fill up my water bottle. And I did start thinking, quarterback situation isn't great at Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
With all due respect to Holden Griner, Savannah area, trains with Denny. Peyton Thorne, much traveled, veteran journeyman, not too unlike Graham Mertz. Part of me says Graham Mertz is better than both of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore, Florida should be ahead of Auburn in my power rankings of the now 16 teams in the SEC. But I got to see it. I got to see it only because I feel like in terms of momentum, if sheerly based on momentum and recruiting, I understand Florida has been able to recruit at a high level, but I'm not getting that excited vibe that I'm getting from War Eagle, which is why, I probably have Florida at 12 out of 16 teams right now.
Yeah, and I think that my takeaway was in the same realm of just the SEC when we're looking at these rankings. And honestly, it's the top and bottom are difficult almost because when we go through, obviously we listed them earlier, but when you have Georgia and Alabama and Ole Miss and LSU and Texas being added into this, you could mix and match those five. Other than Georgia, you're going to put Georgia at 1. You can mix and match the other ones and make an argument for each of them being second, third, fourth, fifth, almost all of those. And then you look at the end, and like you said, we all three, me and you and Dylan Denmark, all had Florida 10 or 11. And so when you look at those teams that you wouldn't have ahead of Florida when you're Vandy, obviously. We're not going to Mississippi State, Arkansas, Auburn, South Carolina are probably the teams that you would put after Florida. But some people may argue some of those just because I think it is a big test for Florida this year of what they're able to do with the schedule that they have, how Billy Napier comes out and is able to in-game decision making. Does that get better? Because there were moments last year that were just unacceptable and were costing them games because of that. But I think that when you look at Graham Mertz's numbers, some people would maybe even put them, I don't know, above 7, but like 8, 9, just because they're confident in Graham Mertz. I'd be interested to hear Lauren where she would put them in this.
And of course, we don't want to just make this assessment of Florida based on the schedule, because in the words of Trevor Lawrence, the game is not played on paper. But it's hard to look at that schedule and look at some of those other schedules we outlined. If you look at Mizzou's schedule, if you look at Auburn's schedule and say, I see a path to 5, 6 victories here. I don't know if I do when it comes to the University of Florida. Our thanks again to Luke Hetrick for joining us as well. That interview will be available up on demand on our 1010XL Open Gym YouTube channel. Yes, folks, we're going to have the Open Gym YouTube channel, and RJ will be producing tons of content throughout the weeks as the months and weeks progress. And, of course, Luke letting us know that Klay Thompson and the Orlando Magic never were the match that some thought that they may be. And we appreciate our Heeligans on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures for submitting your crazy airport stories. One more last quick one. James in San Antonio. My last flight before moving from Florida to Texas actually caught fire shortly after takeoff. Right engine was in flames. We had to turn around and go back to Minneapolis.
Oh, that's terrifying.
That is a lot worse than the child putting her feet in my face, as I had happened to me.
Or the
last
toenails.
night. Or the toenails.
That's disgusting.
Toenail guy's pretty nuts. He apparently also had an abandoned bag situation happening, reported to security. I'm hoping nothing happened with the bag. Hopefully the bag didn't have toenails in it. That would really be something. We are done. That does it for a Big Chief Tire Monday right here on Helmets and Heels. Stay tuned. XL Primetime comes up next. We will catch you tomorrow.
Helmets and Heels.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday. The local Jacksonville shop for fair prices.